Hi, I'm Becky Bradley, and this is the Feel Good Always podcast. Today, I am going to be recording my first solo episode where I'm going to start a series of solo episodes where I start talking about signs and synchronicities. And this will be the first one. So, today, we're going to be talking about how to recognize signs from loved ones on the other side. So, that is the topic, but I want to say that you actually don't have to have someone on the other side to have signs. It could be signs from the universe, God, kind of just your higher self. There's a team that is helping us at all times that is showing us things in the physical world to help us keep going and to stay connected. I know that when you have someone on the other side, like I do, my daughter Keira transitioned in an accident and she started sending signs very quickly. I had already had a lot of experience with signs before this, really trusting that I was always right where I was supposed to be, even when it sucked, and kind of paying attention to why things were happening and what I was being shown, just really being present. So that was happening before, but I do believe that we seek more when we have someone on the other side, and it just opens us up to see more of what's already there. And so today I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about if you do have someone on the other side, they are trying to connect to you. Okay. They are. It's not that sometimes I will hear people say, oh, they're busy or they, they're not ready yet to send signs. And it's actually my experience has been it's me, it's us. So if we think of them, they will be there to show us. And if we're not ready to see it, we will not see it because we see what we're ready to see. So if you're listening to this, it sounds like you're ready, whether to see a sign from a loved one or you're going to see a sign from the universe, your higher self, just knowing that we're being guided and we are constantly being given feedback to help us do the work that we need to do in the world and to feel pretty good doing it. And these connections and these signs are what really help me see that there's something much bigger going on here. And that I'm really just following the signs to do what I need to do next, which really just leads me to trusting myself. The first thing I want to say is if you think it's a sign, it's a sign. So, the very most important thing when trying to connect with someone, when you have this voice or this thought that says, I wonder if that's a sign. Yes, 100% every single time. It's a sign. It is not, it wouldn't come into your mind if it wasn't a sign. The human mind often likes to find a physical reason why you're seeing that. Like maybe, I know my daughter Keira sends deer, and then I will have people, I'll say, hey, have you been seeing deer? And they're like, yeah, but I see deer all the time. It doesn't matter. If you see deer all the time and you see a deer, it's still a sign. So we have to watch our minds because our minds want to find a physical reason that it's happening. And that doesn't mean that it's not a sign. Anytime you think it's a sign and you find your mind going to, oh, well, maybe it's not a sign because it is raining. And of course, there's a rainbow here. No, we're not doing that anymore. We're not doing we're going to talk ourselves out of it. And of course, it's here. If you think it's a sign, it's a sign. So, speaking of rainbows, I'm going to start out really simple. A sign for me, for many people, could be rainbows. Keira started sending rainbows literally the day after she transitioned, a double rainbow appeared over our house. And so many people started seeing rainbows right at the perfect time, right when they needed it. And sure, rainbows appear in the physical world all of the time. And so your mind might say, well, of course a rainbow's here. We really started seeing a ton of rainbows. Actually, just this morning, I reached out to somebody. I sent them a text and they immediately sent me back a picture of a rainbow. It was like a sunbow. And me just communicating with that person, she's out hiking and she saw this like reflection of a rainbow. So that kind of stuff will happen where it came through her, a sign from Keira for me. And then I had another friend take a picture and a little rainbow glare was on the picture, which every single time it's a sign, it's a connection. It could be a rainbow on somebody's shirt. It could be a rainbow. I could walk into a store that's decorated in rainbow. It's a sign. Someone could be wearing pants. It's a sign. So it's always a sign, you know. The other thing Keira sends is the number 22. And so you might get numbers. She sends many more than 22, but that was one of the first ones that I started seeing kind of everywhere. I would look at my social media. I did not want to get on social media, but she encouraged me to. I kept feeling like I needed to do it. And every time I would do that, I would post something. And when I would go back to it, every single time it would have 22 likes 22 minutes ago. So I see the number 22 all the time as a sign. And for me, that just means to keep going. So signs can be like direct personal messages. They can be seeing something on social media. You can see it in a store. It could be something you hear somebody else says. Anything that has matter can be reflecting back at you a sign. So it could literally be you're thinking of something and you look at your cat and your cat is staring at the picture of the thing you were thinking about. I mean, that's kind of gets a little more complicated, but that is also a sign. And then, synchronicities, it's like, those are patterns that feel like orchestrated, and that you'll maybe see that same number over and over. Maybe you're seeing 111, or you start seeing the number 7 everywhere, and everywhere you look it's 7, and it doesn't feel like you would be seeing this that many times, and it's not a coincidence. I don't even say the word coincidence anymore, because nothing is a coincidence and nothing is random. Signs are very personal to each person, so I can share a bunch of signs with you guys, which I do on my podcast when I'm um, talking to other people. They're sharing their signs and I'm sharing mine. And one of the things that does when you listen to other people's signs is it helps you see the ones that are happening in your life, because they're very personal to all of us. And you'll be able to see more for yourself if you start seeing other people's, because it removes the doubt. And I mean, if everyone in the collective was constantly talking about signs, we would if it was just normal and everybody believed in signs and talked about it all the time, we would all be seeing the signs all the time. People will say, oh, you see a blue car and you buy a blue car and then you suddenly start seeing blue cars everywhere. It's not just that you are noticing. That is not what this is. It's not that you think of it and start noticing it. And I'm sure if you've experienced signs, that's not what this is. Literally, the universe is sending us messages through birds, for me it's license plates, through I'm thinking about something, I open a book, it's right there, through I might be thinking about something and someone texts, and these signs have accelerated for me over time, which I believe that will happen to you too. So signs are very personal to each person. It really is. I could tell you about one of my signs and feel so deeply connected to it, and just like, whoa, I can't believe that. I mean, they are pretty magical, but it's really when you experience it yourself, it is a feeling, and what that feeling is when you are in the midst of a sign. You're actually kind of experiencing your signs through your human body, and so you're experiencing something different than you just telling me about your sign. It's actually that feeling of experience, and it's actually really amazing that we have this opportunity to do that, because it feels really good. Signs can come through birds, butterflies, dragonflies, rainbows, feathers, many, actually signs can be literally anything, but nature has a really amazing way of showing these signs, like a bees buzzing right at the same time, and it really just coming present with nature, sitting outside and kind of having that moment with whatever it is, even like the blades of grass, watching the dew on the grass, all of that. It's just like a connection to nature opening up. And when you feel like your mind wants to tell you, like, oh, that's not, the wind blowing at that perfect time is not a sign. Of course, the wind's blowing. No, even the wind can be a sign. So, another common way that people experience signs is, like I said, through numbers, angel numbers. They say that like repeating number sequences, where you start seeing like the number 111 or 222 or 333. Or maybe every time you look at your phone, you see 1111, or you see 333 or 222. For me, I see the number 144 a lot. I see my birthday, 217. Almost every single time I look at the clock, it's one of my, now because it's sped up so much, it's like the energy pulls me in to look at my phone. I can wake up. I said I see 144, and that's a very spiritual number. What it means for me, 144, is it's it's bringing this higher level of consciousness on the earth, and maybe I will do an episode about that. But it has a special meaning for me, and that's what I said. Everybody else doesn't have to understand. It has a special meaning for me, and it's like, keep going. So when I see 144 or 44, it reminds me to keep going. So for example, I woke up last night. When I looked at my phone, it was 12:44, and then it was 2:44, and then it was 3:44. Three times in the middle of the night, that number 44. So that it really starts to speed up, that every single time I look at my watch or my phone, it's one of the numbers. Now, it started with 22, but then it went on to more and more numbers, because literally everything is a sign and everything is connected. And as you begin to acknowledge, you end up more with more and more connection to these things. Another way that we can see signs and connection is through music. It's a wonderful way. Keira was trying to connect to me through music, and I couldn't even listen to music. It made me so sad. And today I can, thankfully, and that the perfect song comes on the radio, that you maybe walk into a store, and what happens for me is I tune into the words of the song, and it almost always connects to something that's happening, in my life. I can connect it to her. She sends me songs. She sends me in books too. Like I'll open a book, just kind of, I say random, but nothing is random. I'll open a book, and you could try this where you just kind of feel into like, what book should I get and pick, and you open it to a page, you randomly choose, but it's not random, and then you read the paragraph on there, and it's like kind of exactly what you needed to hear. I've done that a lot with like spiritual books, and that same thing might happen where you find the perfect podcast to listen to. You think things are random, but we really are being shown what we need to see. The perfect book, or the perfect podcast, or the perfect YouTube video, or the perfect TV show, or the person, they show up right on time to deliver the message. And if we're staying present enough, we can know that all of these are connections. They can be connections. A lot of times I think Keira is sending me all the places to do all of the things. So is it just Keira? No, it's a team. These signs and connections come from Keira, but they also come from my higher self, God, trying to get me, to help me, to remind me that this work is big. Another way that I know is that it's like that feeling that I talked about, where you feel this feeling. So a lot of times people will start to get chills, right? I'll tell them something and they'll be like, oh my gosh, I just totally got chills. And I'm like, yeah, that's the energy. So it could be like Keira's energy merging with theirs, or their loved one's energy. When you think of your loved one and you get chills, it's literally their energy merging with ours and us feeling that. We can feel it. When I have a thought, or I'm having a conversation with somebody and I say something like, I know this is connected to this, and then I get the chills, now my body is pretty in tune, because I've acknowledged it enough times that it's just this confirmation of, yes, what I'm saying is true. And spirit will use the chills. It's literally just energy. So next time you feel the chills, pay attention to what's happening around you. Is it confirming something? You actually have everything that you need inside of you already. We're just having to strip away the parts of us that are the human parts of us that discount it, the ego that says, no, that's not true. That can't be possible. It hasn't been scientifically proven. Well, we have to question everything that we've been taught, because I don't believe that that's true that you need scientific evidence. The evidence that I need is the full on experience that I've had. That is, nobody can tell me that just because it's not scientifically proven that my experience is not real. Um, Another way that we can feel this connection is through dreams. You can have a connection with your loved one, can come into your dream. They call them dream visitations. And I've only had several with Keira. And often it feels very real. And they're not sometimes they're not talking. It feels very real, like you actually feel like you're in that dream. And if it feels scary, then it's not a visitation. Anything, at least from my experience, anything that feels scary is not connected to spirit, because the fear is coming from my mind. I actually have not felt fear in any of this very big connection to so many things, really everything. It's only been just pure love and pure light. And so I tell people when they say, I had this experience and it was really scary, and just like, well, that's most likely coming from the mind. Especially if you're connecting with your loved one, it should never, it's not them if it's scary. I guess that's the point that I'm trying to say. Another way that people see signs is through like coins, or I shared on my episode with Natalie, where she saw angel coins. One was given to her husband, and then later one was given to her. And then when she went to open her gymnastics studio, another one was given. So she had these series of angel tokens that were given, and things that seemingly seemed to appear out of nowhere. When Keira transitioned, her 16th birthday party was literally 6 days later, which was a really, really hard day. And that, I mean, I'm sure anyone could imagine. And that day we had so many signs and connections. That's the day that she introduced ladybugs, thousands of ladybugs that were there on the trail that we were on. I asked Keira, send me a sign. And as the words left my mouth, my son behind me said, Mom. He did not know that I had asked. And he pointed to a rainbow he could see through the trees. And then after that, I come home and I'm looking for this Patagonia hoodie that she wore, because I'm going to wear it to the 16th birthday party that I have to show up to without my daughter physically with me. And I look on my bed and it's laying out on my bed. No one knew that I was going to wear this hoodie of hers, but someone laid it out on the bed. No one knows who did. Actually, even if someone had said, yeah, I laid it out there, it was not something I had shared with anybody else. So how did it end up there? And those were like the little signs and connections, things kind of seemingly to appear out of nowhere, to her, showing me that something really big was happening here. And the timing of it, the timing of me asking Tyler, that was a really hard day, very hard. Sometimes the signs will come when there's really hard things happening, just reminding us that we are so guided and so being helped. So you can just notice the repetition, seeing the same things over, really just trusting your body, that sense of calm, or feeling really good when maybe you feel like you shouldn't. Even crying, like feeling an overwhelming sense of emotion when that sign comes in. It's like, oh my gosh, I'm so connected to this person. And it's sad because we wish they were here, but it's also like, wow, they really sent that to me. And that's that feeling that I'm talking about. It can feel really overwhelming, like, wow. And it can feel sad and really beautiful at the same time. So, like, when I talk about feel good always, it's really just like putting the feel and feel good always, right? And the reason that I think it's so important to kind of pay attention to the signs and connections is because when we're grieving, or even if we're just having a hard time, we get comfort from this reminding not only that our loved ones are here, but that we're constantly being helped, and that there's something much bigger going on here. And when you're grieving, you can shift from being in that space of thinking that they're gone forever into this ongoing relationship where they communicate with you in a different way, that separation is an illusion, and that really that they are opening us up to the awe and wonder and the possibility of a larger reality that really we never would have experienced in this human body had they not left. I mean, that's my experience, is that I experience in the world in a wildly different way than I experienced it before. And I'm grateful for it. You know, obviously I would love to have Keira back here, but she's guiding me and showing me the signs. So I'm going to leave you with this. You can do these few things for your signs. You can ask to set an intention and just say, hey, if you're here, if you're near me, please show me a rainbow. You can pick any kind of sign. Show me a turkey, show me a pig, and see if it shows up. Just pay attention. If it doesn't show up, it's not supposed to. We just keep going. You can keep your signs in a journal, you know, a bunch of your signs in a journal. That just kind of reinforces that this is real. I was keeping a notes app of all of my signs, but it got to be too much. There was just so much, and I became confident that they weren't going to end and that I didn't have to keep track of every single one. I still take a lot of pictures just to share with other people, but I stopped keeping track. But in the beginning, it's really good to keep track. And the biggest thing is to slow down and be present, to notice what's already there. And that, if I have any message, it's that. So your signs are unique to you. Trust them. They are not coincidences. They are reminders of love, connection to the unseen, and the support that's always around you. So thank you for listening today. Feel good always. And with the emphasis on feel, these signs help us feel the depth of our grief, of our experience here on earth, and the depth of the ongoing love at the same time. Thank you for listening.